Despite record-high farmland prices, millions of acres were sold across the U.S. in just 2022 alone. So, who's buying them? Mostly the ultra-rich, and I mean 10 figures rich. Billionaires Jeff Bezos of Amazon, Bill Gates of Microsoft, and Ted Turner of CNN are among the famous names in the list of the biggest landowners in the country, with Turner holding a shocking 2 million acres. And more billionaires are scrambling to get a piece of land all over the world. But why the sudden gold rush? Welcome to Cloud9 Luxury, the ultimate destination for all things opulent and extravagant. In this video, we'll look at why high net worth individuals are suddenly buying large tracts of land in droves. Some reasons might be obvious, but others not so much. So if you want to find out and decide if you too should be investing in land, stick around as we cover this topic in depth. Like, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's dive in. In 2018, reports emerged that Bill Gates had acquired 14,500 acres of prime farmland in eastern Washington for a whopping $171 million. But he would not stop there. Gates has continued to buy land like it's going out of style. As of making this video, the Microsoft co-founder and billionaire business magnate reportedly owns 270,000 acres of land across the country. Now, there were a lot of speculations and conspiracy theories, all trying to explain why Gates, who's never been a farmer nor had a green thumb, was suddenly accumulating farmland. As you can imagine, some conspiracies were pretty crazy, but the most insane one is that he wants to starve Americans for whatever reason. It looks like these theories reached him as he would come out to put the rumors to rest, saying he owns less than 1/4000th of the total farmland in the country and has invested in all these acres to make them more productive and create more jobs. But hot on Gates' heels were other billionaires and billionaire institutions. Just recently, JP Morgan purchased 250,000 acres of commercial timberland spread across 3 properties in southeast US for $500 million. Not only a few purchases have made headlines, however, many other wealthy people have been buying land behind the scenes, which makes many believe that there's more to it than bettering the environment or community. So, what is it? The recently amended tax credits is a key motivator. In 2022, amid rising economic concerns, the U.S. federal government passed what's known as the Inflation Reduction Act. The huge 300-page document mostly covers policies for budget deficit reduction to curb inflation. But also in this document are policies on climate and clean energy. In particular, there's a small, almost negligible section known as the 45Q tax credit that significantly increased the tax credits for carbon capture and offset programs. For instance, under the previous law, qualified parties could claim a $50 tax credit per ton of carbon captured. That now has increased to $130 in tax credit per ton. To understand just how massive this increment is, let's apply that to JP Morgan's 250,000 acres, which reportedly retained 500,000 tons of carbon in 2021. Before the law, the tax credit amounted to $25 million. After the IRA, that translates to $65 million, which is more than 2 times the previous amount. Even with the cap rate, which depends on income generated, the savings are pretty significant. Furthermore, the bill further allows the tax credit holder to claim direct payment in the event they don't have adequate taxable income to cancel out the credit. As you can imagine, this law change has had a ripple effect on a variety of sectors, but more so land market. So, why are only the rich taking advantage of this? This is where things get interesting. To qualify for this lucrative tax deduction, you must show that you have attained the minimum carbon capture threshold of 12,500 tons annually. To retain just a ton of carbon, you'd need 31 to 46 trees. If you do the math, you need at least 387,500 to 575,000 trees to meet the IRA threshold. Can you see where this is going? Basically, this tax incentive works for the 1% of the world, and they are not letting the opportunity pass them by. But what about those who are not maintaining vast tracts of the forest cover on their parcels? There are other motivations too. High inflation got the rich looking for assets to protect their wealth. If there's only one thing the pandemic has taught us, is that things can get shaky pretty fast. Not only did companies shut down and millions lose their job, but the economy has never quite recovered. Nearly 3 years later, 2022 saw the highest inflation rates in decades. By June, it had hit 9.1% in the US, the highest in 40 years. High inflation means a lower currency purchasing power. In such times, investors scramble to get rid of as much cash as they can, as fast as they can, by buying tangible assets with intrinsic value. And bare land is such an asset. Not only does it have value in itself, but it is also proven to be a good hedge in times of uncertainty simply because it doesn't appreciate. The inflation rates have since gone down significantly. Still, the rich have continued to buy land, too, as a way to prepare for hard economic times in the future. More rich people are viewing land as an asset that can grow wealth. Land is one of the few assets whose value has consistently increased over time. However, most people have, in the past, underestimated it or just don't see the use for it. But the ultra-rich are waking up to the fact that raw land or farmland actually a pretty solid investment to hold in your portfolio in the long term. Buying and holding land like you would a stock is a great way to achieve asset diversification. If you're an investor, you would likely just know how important diversification is. The more diversified a portfolio is, the less the overall impact one asset has on it. For instance, if the stock market is shaky, other assets that are not affected by the same factors as stocks remain stable and thereby minimize the risk or losses. On top of neutralizing investment risk, land has the potential for massive returns in the future, even if you don't develop it. So, given that the rich can access huge capital with the snap of their fingers, they are buying huge tracts of land to preserve their wealth. Not forgetting, bare private land is actually a limited resource. The super wealthy are indeed buying land like it's going to run out. As a matter of fact, it is. Part of the reason land has soared in value over the last couple of years is that it is a finite resource. Yes, the supply of land actually has a ceiling, unlike solar energy or wind. Once a parcel of land is occupied by, say, an industry, it can't be used for anything else. And just like all other limited resources, the value increases as the supply depletes. With the world population threatening to reach tipping point, land is rare now more than ever. Can you see where this is headed? If the rich continue to buy land at this fast rate, then most of the land will belong to only a few elites, with supply limited at the bottom of the food chain, and the prices will be unimaginably high. This, of course, will only make them richer. Raw land offers something real estate doesn't: development freedom. Urban real estate has often come with legal restrictions regarding what you can and can't do. However, bare land, especially in rural areas, is versatile. Depending on the jurisdiction, legislations regarding land usage are lax, and the tax laws are favorable. What does this mean? You can basically do whatever you want with it, whether that's farming, lumbering, or even constructing commercial or residential buildings. This freedom is the reason Bill Gates went on to buy 25,000 acres valued at $80 million in the Arizona desert. He can develop his planned smart city, dubbed Belmont, just as he imagines it. Gates is one of a couple of elites who has expressed interest in building their own utopias right here on Earth. Well, except Elon Musk, who plans to take that to Mars. Billionaires and other rich people buying land may just be looking for somewhere to set up their next groundbreaking business. All in all, rich people don't just buy stuff to own them. They invest in making money. So if they are rushing to purchase land, then it only goes to show there is money to be made, whether in the forms of profits or tax credits. So, do you think land is the hottest new asset in the market? Share your views with us in the comments, and while at it, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to not miss our next Rich Insider video. Thanks for watching.